Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fan Behavior and F1 podcast. I am Zoe and I'm here with Hannah.
Hey.
Happy race week.
Happy race week.
Race weekend. Daniel's first race back. Hannah's dressed because she's going to a baby shower.
I know, I'm all fancy today.
I'm trying to think if that's a color of a team. I guess it's sort of a
Williams adjacent.
I was also going to say it's sort of close to the Mercedes like teal, but it's not quite there.
Yeah.
And I'm dressed as a Daniel Ricciardo fan.
Yeah.
Which
in her natural element.
We do need an updated one because it's McLaren.
Yeah.
We should have rid ourselves of those moments because as we've learned today, and we'll get into, I think that was just a temporary lapse for him. His McLaren time.
His mental space wasn't at high performance. I think it wasn't the right
space. No, exactly. This is obviously the Hungary race recap, so we'll get into everything that happened this weekend in Hungary. So much to discuss. The race itself was sort of anticlimactic.
Yeah.
But obviously there's always a lot to go over and talk about. Anything else off the track that we need to discuss?
Don't think so. We did get our first bit of Danny Yuki content.
We did. Did you watch it?
Yeah, and it was actually so brilliant that try not to laugh because those two can't take anything seriously.
If you haven't seen it yet, and it's interesting. That's interesting. That was their first video. Interesting. That was their first pick.
Yeah.
As for the, just to start off the Daniel.
It was like a chemistry test almost.
It was exactly like they were auditioning for a part in a play or something.
Yeah.
They had to basically not make each other or try to make the other person laugh and not laugh themselves. It was interesting that they just didn't really know what to do though.
Yeah.
They just went to let's touch the other person.
Right. Which was fun. And then I don't think they got any talking points. It's I think it seemed like they were maybe supposed to interview each other or get to know each other. And
well, they didn't really give him parameters.
Well, that we know of. Yes. It did just seem like all of a sudden,
do whatever you want.
Yuki was because he started talking off this is the first time we've really properly met. But I'm that's not true. You guys race boats together. Maybe, but whatever. And
I bet he meant probably we've
as teammates.
We had a conversation or actually
yeah. And then Daniel just started touching his face. And then Yuki was just
yeah, all of Yuki's faces that he was making. And then Daniel really felt like that was funny. And then Daniel just kept laughing at Yuki speaking Italian.
Right. Because I think he said buongiorno gazpacho.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And I was just yeah, those are definitely two words. Hello, cold soup.
That's what's in Yuki's brain.
Yeah. Fair enough.
What he's thinking about.
Yeah. And I'm just still curious about the Michael Italiano of it all.
We'll get it.
I'm getting into it later.
Well, not so much getting. I don't want to perpetuate drama if there's no drama. I don't want to be sort of a pot stirrer.
No, same.
But I do think, and we mentioned it a couple of we mentioned even before Daniel was in the AlphaTauri seat, we said I think there's something off here.
Yeah.
But there's a something I wanted to talk about kind of later that it'll bring back in Michael. I saw the Barbie movie this past weekend, and I just want to quickly say everyone should see the Barbie movie. No spoilers, obviously. Hannah hasn't seen it yet, but it is excellent film.
I've heard great things. I'm so excited to see it. And the social media world, specifically the motorsport social media admins, have been killing it with the Barbie content. Max saying hi Margot.
Yes.
I'll be honest, until She Loves F1 posted about it, was we love that he's shooting his shot. I was why did he say Margot? I didn't put together the Margot Robbie of it all.
Oh.
And I was haha, Max is an idiot. And then I was oh no, he's just saying hi to Margot. But then the Aero McLaren,
they're doing so well.
So good.
Yes.
The IndyCar team, for those of you who don't know, but they did a post of their drivers as Barbies in the package. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So a lot of talent over there.
Alpine should have done more with it, given the pink of it all.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity for them.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to bring up, and because I don't know if we'll get to it, but in the press conference when Crofty was saying to Daniel, it's getting back with an ex, and Max was have you done that before? I just really appreciated the little Max defending his friend.
Always defending his friend.
It was kind of cute.
Yes, very sweet. if you haven't listened to us on the Red Flags podcast, we were on their podcast last week, I guess. So go listen to that if you want. We talk about just random F1 news and it's fun. So
yeah,
give it a listen if you haven't. As always, make sure to rate, review, watch us on YouTube, like, subscribe. We're getting up there in YouTube subscribers. So if you haven't done that yet, we would appreciate it.
Allegedly, we're more funny when you can see us.
Exactly. So it's fact.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that can dispute it.
Exactly.
So
it's just
the way that the world works.
Exactly. And like we like to do on every race recap, just want to remind you about our cute little partnership with Fifth Year Garms. They have the best stuff. I am hoping, crossing my fingers and toes, that they do a Daniel Ricciardo helmet release.
They're definitely, I mean, they
have to. I know they will. So keep your eyes peeled for that, because I actually really like his helmet.
Yeah.
I think it's cute. And obviously Daniel's back, and I just can't believe we get to talk about him again. So if you're interested, they have amazing stuff. fifthyeargarms.com. Use code FANBEHAVIOR10 for 10% off. And
I also
get cute.
I said on Instagram yesterday, I said if Lewis wins and or Daniel gets points, I will send a either Lewis shirt or Daniel shirt to anyone. I mean, to one person, and I will keep that going forward. So
nice.
Whatever happens first, Lewis win, Daniel points. I will gift somebody on our Instagram a t-shirt, a Fifth Year Garms shirt of their choice. So if you're not following us on Instagram, you should do that so you don't miss it if it does happen. But once it happens, whichever one comes first, then I'm not going to keep buying. You know, if I don't think it's going to happen, but if Lewis wins 5 races in a row, I'm not going to get 5 t-shirts.
Of course, just the first
time.
Yeah.
But if it's a Lewis win, Daniel points on the same day, I will do two shirts.
Wow, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah. So
can I enter?
Sure. He probably won't win, but
probably not.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that.
Okay.
All right, should we get into the race weekend? So obviously the biggest story of the weekend is Daniel's back.
Yeah.
Daniel's back in F1, and just a glorious sight. It was weird, like Thursday morning, which is the media day, waking up and being like, oh yeah, Daniel's going to be there today, and he's going to be walking into the paddock, and he's going to be in the press conferences, and it's just it still feels like it has happened so fast,
right,
that I still haven't quite grasped that he's back.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was kind of like, oh, Daniel's at this race, fine, and then I'm like, wait, no. He's in different colors. He's
wearing AlphaTauri clothing.
Yeah, he's doing tests to see how quickly he can get out of the car in case of emergency, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just all good stuff. But it was weird.
It was just I still couldn't quite grasp, honestly, until FP1, when I got up to watch it, and obviously seeing him in the intro was just like, oh yeah, shit, he's back.
That's so cute.
It was interesting how they took Nick out, but they didn't replace Daniel in Nick's position.
Yeah.
They put him, obviously. So what I think they did was they put the 3 newbies, quote unquote, which are now Logan, Oscar, and Nico, and then slotted Daniel right in after Nico, which is interesting because everybody else is in their order of how they finished the year before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why didn't you just put Daniel where he finished? But I guess they felt like because he's a mid-season.
Sure.
It works. I mean, it was great.
It's totally fine. And
totally fine.
It was sweet too. Like there were some pictures and videos. I think actually Pit Lane Leslie posted about it where I saw it, but just it seemed like everyone on the pit wall was just like waving at Daniel.
Very
and everyone
happy for
just
him.
Seems really excited for him to be back. And I do think it's hard because, as we've talked about before, like it seems like it's putting potentially more salt in the wound of Nick Debris, but also I'm really happy that he got the welcome that he got.
Yes.
Because he deserves it.
As we said on the Red Flags podcast, it is pretty tough for your replacement to be Daniel Ricciardo, 100%. Just because it's one of those things. It's not personal to, I don't think everyone's cheering, yeah, Nick is gone.
Right.
They're just cheering because they're so happy Daniel is back.
Right.
But it can feel like people are rooting against you. It's kind of like in a tennis match when everyone's cheering for the player on the other side of the court. It can feel like they're all against you. It's just that they're for the other person, but it's a hard thing to mentally process.
Wrap your head around. Yeah. But I was listening to, and I was late in this, but I was listening to the Red Flags podcast with Dak Shepard, and which is still so cool that they got him on, but they were talking about how Daniel is the gateway drug to Formula One for a lot of people. And for me, that is absolutely the truth. I know it is for you. And so our gateway drug is back, man.
Yeah,
exciting.
Love drugs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obsessions and drugs, they're, you know.
Well, yeah, any hit of dopamine you can get.
I prefer the, you know, Daniel Ricciardo to other drugs, but
yeah, a little safer.
Yeah.
Not gonna ruin your life. Well,
depends who you talk to.
Kind of ruined my life last year.
Yeah, it sure did.
I got clean and now I'm safely back on the drug at a very safe dosage.
Yeah. That's good.
No overdoses here, guys.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah, so we got Daniel back in the press conferences. Obviously, every question was towards Daniel for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun though. Did you see the Sky Kids this weekend?
So I think part of that is my fan, but I didn't watch a lot of the coverage, but I heard it was great.
They were so cute. They came on, was it FP1, FP2? I think it was FP2. They had these two, I think their names were Zach and Braden. Mm-hmm. I hope that's right. Who were like in the booth. And they were so professional.
Yeah, I heard they were like so on it and very good, very like articulate.
Yes. And then there was this girl, Scarlett, who is doing like the pit lane reporting with Ted Kravitz, and she was so good. And then Zach, I think it was Zach, got to meet Lewis Hamilton, and they did a little segment on it before the race today. But he got to go down to the Mercedes garage and interview Lewis, and Lewis let him into his car and everything. It was really awesome. Cute. So that was a fun little
impressive, like to see, because I saw like little clips, but just to see how like little they are and just how on it they are already is impressive. Not only knowledge about the sport, but just like that's nerve-wracking.
Exactly.
I would be shaking.
One of them interviewed Yuki, I think today. Did you see that?
The same height?
Taller. He's taller.
Yes. How old is he? Like 13?
I don't know, probably like 13 or 14 or something like that.
That's amazing.
So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I thought that and they had a kids broadcast. I don't know where, like what who was able to see that, but I would love to see clips. I would love to see that. Even like their leaderboard. I don't know if you saw all the pictures of like the drivers as like almost like cartoony characters. So they used those pictures on like the leaderboard, and then it was just like it was like the Nickelodeon. I don't know if you know this, but during the football season, American football season, Nickelodeon will do special broadcasts of games, and they will do like the slime thing. They'll do all these like funny things like during the broadcast, and so it kind of felt like it was F1's version of that.
It's cute though. I really wasn't sure. I think when it first came out, everyone was kind of like, okay, but I think they obviously picked great kids who know what they're doing, and awesome opportunity for them. Glad they got a female in it too.
There was also a girl, she was doing like she was in the bullpen doing like post-quali interviews, and she was interviewing Daniel, and it was right when Lewis got pole.
I saw the screenshot
of Daniel, and but the girl, I think her name was Ruby, she was like, oh, Lewis, she's like, I love Lewis Hamilton, and she was so happy.
Oh, I need to go see that. That's cute.
Yeah, it was super cute. So
Lewis Hamilton.
It was great all around. It was very fun, and they should do it again. I think, especially with like those kids, it could go wrong with the wrong kids, honestly. Sure. But they picked I don't know.
Well, good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
That's so exciting.
This is a random question, but we got it in the DMs today, or not today, this week, and I just wanted to ask before I forgot. So someone said, now that Daniel is back, how does that affect our top 3 drivers? Like, who drops out of the top 3 now that Daniel is back in?
That's an incredible question.
Yeah. That's a good question.
I would say I'm probably, and I'm so annoying because I know it changes all the time, but right now it's probably Max, Daniel, Carlos.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, it's either for you, it's either Max, Daniel, Carlos, or Max, Daniel, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
But Max is 1. Probably.
Yeah.
As of today. Yeah. Mine is Daniel, Charles, and Lewis.
Sure.
Pierre gets dropped out, unfortunately for him.
That's fair.
But pulling up the rear very strongly with Yuki. So they're where they're supposed to be together.
Yeah.
In the next tier.
Exactly. Yuki's very grateful.
Very happy.
Yeah.
So it's all good. Okay, let's get into just quickly some notable things that happened in practice. Checo crashed immediately in FP1. It was actually comical how quickly he crashed. His first lap, boom, into the wall. And he says on the radio, he's like, I cannot believe it. I was like, better believe it, boy. He had a great race, so he's fine. But it was like, oh, yikes.
Yeah.
That is not good.
Talk about a confidence killer too. Like after all of the everyone has just been talking, like obviously Checo's a great driver, but like his confidence is shot. And then an FP1 into the wall.
And it was rough too because they basically had no running in FP1 because it was raining. And so it was unfortunate. I think most drivers got like 4 laps in.
Yeah.
And he still managed to crash. So it's just wasn't great for him. Kind of funny. Gave us something to talk about. Did you see the kid that was crying? Did you see that story?
I did. And I'm going to be like really honest. I'm not usually super cynical, but I feel like he was maybe crying for a different reason. And Red Bull used it as an opportunity, which I think is great. I think I love when they bring kids in. I think they need to be doing that more, not to like an excessive level where it's not exciting anymore. But I appreciated that they took the kid and he got to experience all that. I think it's amazing. But there was a small part of me that was like, is he crying because he's cold or rainy, or is he crying because his favorite driver went into the wall? Not really sure.
Right. Well, yeah. So he was also wearing an AlphaTauri shirt.
Yeah.
He was wearing a Red Bull hat.
Right.
But okay. And I guess his dad has been coming to this race for years and years and years and is a Max fan, I think. And I mean, again, if someone came up to me and said, do you want to go into the Red Bull? I'd say, I'm obsessed with Max.
Yes.
Favorite driver of all time.
Yes.
You know, I like Max fine. I probably would be honest. I'd be like, listen, Max is middle of the pack for me, so take it or leave it. But I do love Daniel, who is on loan, who is still technically a Red Bull driver. So.
Yeah.
Let me into your paddock.
Well, and it's still like, I mean, I would never say no to go into any.
Well, I would never say no. I just don't want them to think I'm going. I don't want them to assume I'm one type of fan when I'm not.
Oh,
do you know what I'm
saying? Yeah.
Like, I don't want there to be any false pretenses.
Of course. But yeah, I think I'm really happy for him, and especially for his dad, because he's, the real one in this situation. Yes. But I'm not sure the narrative was exactly how they laid it out, which is fine.
Right. It's also, did you see the clip of the plot? That boy going up to Lando, like running into Lando?
Now, that was cute as hell.
It was cute, but he also was like, just like, it made me realize kids can get away with anything.
Yes.
He just literally rams him. He grabs him.
Yeah.
Which again, he's a kid, so he can do that, and Lando's going to stop for him.
Right.
But if an adult ever did that, and I was like, okay, we should be crying on camera now. Mm-hmm. Like, we should do that for Austin and get, just
okay. Well, you're gonna have to bring your acting skills back up.
Yeah. So upset, so sad, wearing fully decked out AlphaTauri gear.
Perfect.
And then we can get invited to the AlphaTauri garage.
I think that's a good idea.
I don't know if I would want to go under those conditions. Like, I don't know. Do I want to be the girl that was sobbing, crying?
No, because then you're a meme.
Exactly. But
is it good?
Could be good for our numbers.
Could be good.
Could be good for our ratings.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But yeah, kids can just do whatever they want.
Well, it's also funny too. Like, I always feel bad. Kids are often at a height that can really injure a man. Like really, with the way he kind of ran at him, I was like, oh God, protect the kids. He seemed really worried that he was going to be put in harm's way, but it was really cute.
It was cute.
And I think when Lando realized it was a kid, he also was excited about it.
Yeah.
But when someone just like runs into you, you're just kind of like,
it's a little unnerving. Yeah. So anyway, that was basically it from FP1, FP2. FP1, rained out. FP2 was fine. Not a lot to report there. Let's get to quali. So there was a new format this weekend, new quali format. They basically, Q1, they could only use hard tires, Q2 mediums, Q3 softs. And there's a lot of chatter about this is dumb, this is stupid. I mean, like anything, like anytime there's any new thing, it's all.
And the goal of this is to try and cut down on the number of tires.
Yes. Okay. Which makes sense. And also it is true. It's like, why bring all these things if they're just not going to get used?
Yeah.
Make people have to use them.
Right.
Okay. I thought it was successful.
I did too.
because I feel like it mixed up the grid and made things a little bit more interesting. And you had some people in Q2 and Q3 that maybe wouldn't typically have been in Q2 and Q3. So I thought it worked.
Yeah.
Because obviously there are certain cars that do better on hards or do better on mediums or do better on softs. And if you only are using softs,
right,
then it's just, I don't know. It's fun to like reward the teams that do well with other tires.
I agree.
And it's interesting too, because like in a race, you can actually utilize that, but you can't ever utilize it in qualifying.
Right.
So it's nice that they can.
Yeah, I liked it. I wasn't really bothered by it.
Yeah. So I would like to see them try it again, some other places, just to see what happens. And
are they planning to?
I feel like because it was
would.
pretty successful, they probably will. And maybe it will become a thing that they do more often going forward. So I'm a fan. Okay, some big storylines from qualifying. So obviously George being knocked out, P was 18.
Yeah, big bummer.
Waited too long to head out. There was a whole thing about, they realized that the track was ramping up and people were getting faster and faster and faster. And they realized if we put on new hard tires and we wait as long as possible, like we can get a quick lap in, we can maybe advance into Q2. So there was just this big traffic jam essentially when qualifying was winding down, and George found himself just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Mercedes, honestly, they waited too long to send him out.
That was his feedback as well.
Yes. And he was not a happy guy. Now, I do have to say thank you to George Russell, because if he had gotten a clean lap in, he would have kicked Daniel out of Q1. So
it really did. At the end of the day, qualifying was frustrating, but George did. It all worked out in everyone's favor.
It worked out in everyone's favor, and it worked out for me.
In our favor.
In our favor, yes.
So I shouldn't say everyone's.
And I think it was like it made for an interesting race for George on Sunday, because he's having to climb through the field and all that jazz. But yeah, Toto was not happy.
No. Fox smashed the desk.
The desk.
Only to a few minutes later just be elated.
Right, exactly.
Which is the Formula One experience.
Truly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
highs and lows.
Yeah,
peaks
nothing
and
but
valleys.
roller coasters.
Exactly. You got to ride the wave. So Ruffer, Williams, they were out in Q1 as well. This track, Hungary, is not suited for the Williams car because there's just barely any straights. And where there are straights, they're not very long. And obviously they're a car that has very good straight line speed, so it wasn't going to necessarily suit them that well. They get out in Q1. Kevin Magnussen got out in Q1, and we'll get to this later, but like I don't want to say I'm on fraud watch, but I'm on what's going on watch with him. But we'll touch base there.
Okay, we'll circle back.
Yes. Obviously, another big storyline was the AlphaTauris, right?
Yes.
Who's going to outqualify who? Who's going to be better? Is Daniel going to be better than Yuki? Vice versa? And it turned out it was very close. I think it was like 1,000th of a second, like barely. Daniel gets into Q2.
Yeah.
Yuki out in Q1, and it was a little shocking. I was kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Were you shocked or no?
I mean, yes and no. I think because we know that the car is so bad, I wasn't really sure. But I feel like Yuki hasn't been qualifying. Like, he's much better. And I think, and we talked about this before, but I think Daniel's really good in qualifying. And I think Yuki's.
Oh, I think it's opposite.
Oh, really?
I think Daniel's a bad typically he's not the best qualifier. I feel like he struggles in qualifying. And I feel like Yuki's came whipping that quick lap. He's got the pace, but he's a little bit more erratic. He's not as well managed in a race.
Well, maybe I'm confused, but I wasn't surprised.
Okay.
I guess is the short answer.
Okay. Yeah, I think I just thought maybe it would take Daniel a little bit longer to get up to grips with the car to the point where he was going to be beating Yuki. Like, I think I was in my mind, I thought they'll be close, but I feel like Yuki will outqualify Daniel. That was kind of what I went into qualifying thinking. But obviously it was I mean, the margin was so small that it wasn't like some big, beat down or anything.
Because I don't remember, was any of the traffic issues, did that have anything to do with Yuki?
I don't think so necessarily. I mean, not that I heard, but obviously who knows. So anyway, tough for Yuki. Daniel gets into Q2 and does decently well. I think he I think he probably felt like he could get a little bit better. I think he was just off of, was it Valtteri in P12? Or no, or maybe it was, no, it wasn't. I'm not sure who was ahead of him at the end of Q2, but or Esteban maybe.
I have no idea.
But did decently well. I mean, outqualified Lance Stroll and Pierre Gasly.
Yeah.
So that has to be.
Well, he was definitely close-ish to this. So maybe it was Esteban in front of him because, there was that fun thing that we'll talk about later. Yeah. But he had to be very close to them to be a part of that.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
They were near.
So I feel like it was a very solid start for Daniel.
Yeah. For me, we love Yuki, but I was okay to sacrifice his qualifying for Daniel's mentality.
Yes, I was too.
And then,
I was too. I don't necessarily selfishly, I want Daniel to beat Yuki. If I had to pick someone to beat the other, I'm picking Daniel to beat Yuki, but I don't want it to be like demolition. Absolutely. I don't want the end of this. What I'm saying is I don't want it to be at the end of the season. They realize Yuki's not very good and they replace Liam with Yuki. That's what I don't want to have happen.
I kind of don't see that happening.
I really hope it doesn't. But I'm just saying if it's to the point where they're like, oh, is he that? Because I could see that
with the Honda partnership,
but it's ending, so I don't know that it matters anymore.
I forgot. It ends 2023.
No, it ends in 2025, right before the new engine regs. I'm just saying I don't know that they're beholden to those rules anymore now that they haven't renewed their partnership. Like, why do they care? I mean,
I guess
it's contractual.
So.
I doubt it's contractual.
Oh, I don't doubt it's contractual.
I just don't think Red Bull, AlphaTauri, as ruthless as they are,
that's fair.
I don't know that they would be like, yeah, we will always have a Japanese driver, even if he's terrible in our seats.
Sure.
I think they're probably, we will favor. It's kind of like Ferrari, we prefer Italians, but we will take others.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a similar thing.
Yeah. It was interesting when I think the thing that also makes me feel better about the Daniel situation is yes, he isn't as high on the grid as we'd like him to be. But did you see French Toast on the grid walk?
Yeah.
Okay. So Martin was talking to him for anyone who didn't see it. And he was just like, we're happy with how Daniel's doing. We just need to get him a better car and he'll be in the front of the grid.
Yes.
Now,
yeah,
they all say that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that at least there seems to be recognition, and not that they haven't recognized it even before Daniel was there, but there seems to be recognition that the car is crap. But he's a good driver. This particular race, Daniel proved that he was better than Nick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which we knew that would happen, but
yeah. Rough day for Carlos out in Q2 as well. Actually was knocked out of qualifying. Yeah, Carlito knocked out of qualifying by his own teammate, Charles Leclerc. But
I think they're doing as a friendship.
I think they're probably fine. I just think they're both. I mean, we'll get to them. And also, bad qualifying for Alpine, really a bad weekend for Alpine, but we'll get to that as well.
Poor
and then Lance Stroll,
who?
I know. I'm on fraud watch for Lance Stroll.
That's a new phrase for me. I'm gonna need you to unpack that one.
Fraud watch?
Yeah.
It's like you're, this person's on watch. Like you're on, I'm waiting to see are you a fraud or not? Are you meant to be there?
Haven't we always been on fraud watch?
Not necessarily. Lance? I feel like this year I've been up and down with him because he did very well at the beginning of the season and then he dipped down. And then there were a couple races where he was beating Fernando and then dips down. But I'm now stabilizing into this is not working for me. Fraud watch is a term people often use in sports for other.
Sure.
This player's on fraud watch.
This is my first sport. So I also thought at first you said frog, frog. The animal. And I was like, does that mean they bounce around a lot? Or
I'm sure you know the term washed. This person's washed.
Yeah. I just say sucks, but
so anyway,
it's not fair.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just it is what it is with Lance. All right, let's get to Q3 where all the real good stuff happens. Strong performance from Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Joe P5, what was Valtteri P8 or something like that. Very good. I was shocked at how quick they were, and I think the the allocation thing benefited them.
Yeah.
So that was fun to see.
Yeah, it was nice to see
both
them
in there
because we've talked in the past few weeks. Haven't really heard much from them, and so it was nice to hear them.
They're there, doing good things. McLaren, again, another strong weekend. People thought this maybe wouldn't be the best track for them again because of the difference between Silverstone and Hungary and the track layout and whatnot. And they proved that their car is fast on all tracks, not just ones that are suited to their specific car, qualifying P3, P4. Actually, Lando was relatively close to pole position.
Yeah.
Like, all things considered. I think he even said afterwards, he was like, when you're that close, even though you're happy to be P3, you're like, I should have been on pole.
Yeah.
But again, I think from where they started this season, they cannot
insane.
I think you have to be happy with where you are. Like, you can't be like, well, why wasn't I? It's like, come on,
you just get competitive, right? So you just are like, dang it, we could have done it, but we didn't, but we're still up here.
Yeah.
But I was texting with Macy during the race and she was joking. I was just like, what mob boss did Zach Brown pay to get this car? And she just made the joke that they basically just switched like the paint jobs on the Aston Martin, the McLaren, they just did a swap, which obviously didn't happen. But
there's a lot of people talking about, how did McLaren get so fast so quick? And I think people forget that when their car was so bad early in the season, everyone was like, what the heck happened? And McLaren came out and basically said that last year, like at the end of last season, because, they basically transition right around this time, maybe fall-ish, into making the next year's car.
Right.
And they realized early last year, like I want to say maybe November-ish, that their initial direction for this year's car was off.
Yeah.
So they stopped. They basically were like, we have to pivot. And so the car that they were racing with early on in this season was that car that they realized was off. They then changed their direction and design and have now, brought up all these new pieces and parts. And so they've spent months and months and months, like, basically course correcting.
Yeah.
It hasn't just been like a couple months, like, oh, wait, we need to change these things and boom, now we're fast.
Yeah.
It's like,
but that's how it happens to us. You know what I mean?
Totally,
it's like, obviously
totally.
It's not like they just took a weekend and like put on some new side pods or so. It's like they've been testing and,
working through it. It just
solving.
seems like it's happened so quickly. And so then that's why people are like, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, good for that team because they deserve the excitement.
Yeah. Now, there have been rumors floating that some teams have breached the cost cap again.
I'm sure they have, because guess what? And everyone, like, this is going to send me over the edge because everyone's so annoying in the comments. Anytime I've seen anyone else talk about this, we all said last year that this would happen.
Yeah.
That because Red Bull got a slap on the wrist with yes, I know that wind tunnel time is important. Yes, I understand that it was a large fine, but because it had no consequences, really, people were going to breach it because they could. And now the FIA is going to change what the punishment is, and it's going to affect a lot more people. And I think that that's dumb.
Yes.
And if they would have invited us into the conference call when we asked to be invited in, then we wouldn't have this issue.
Right. Exactly.
Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. It does. It pisses me off. It's dumb.
It is silly.
A bunch of DTS fans predicted this. So I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see. There was the reports that like 3 teams breached it. Then I think the FIA came out and said no, or Formula One, whoever said no, they didn't. But obviously we'll find that out soon enough, whether people did or didn't. But people were like, okay, well, clearly Aston Martin, because they were extremely fast. They took a big leap.
Right.
People also thought McLaren, I think, was a name thrown out there. And then I think some people have said Mercedes, though. I'm like, Mercedes hasn't done anything to make me think they've breached the car. Like, it's not like, wow, they're so quick.
And it seems
maybe Red Bull.
Like, I get everyone is just kind of relentless here. But it seems like Toto would intentionally not do it just to prove a point. A way.
Well, he did say last year that he was going to breach it.
Oh, did he?
When he was like, if that's the punishment, then I'm going to break the cost cap.
Yeah, fair. I do remember that.
Yeah.
But
now, would he actually? I don't know.
Yeah. I also feel like AlphaTauri could be, just because of all the marketing changes they had to make. I don't know if you allocate.
I don't think you would have. I mean, I certainly hope that you don't break the cost cap when you have literally the worst car on the grid. You know, that's pretty sad.
It'd be too bad.
It'd be way too sad.
But they had to do extra photo shoots that they weren't planning on.
Exactly. Anyway, I don't know where we. Oh yes, because I was talking about the McLaren strong. Yeah, so they qualified P3, P4, but obviously the story of qualifying Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Pole position.
It was very exciting.
I was like kneeling in front of my TV, like, come on, Lewis, come on, Lewis, come on. I was like chanting.
It was very exciting.
And then just seeing his name go top of the leaderboard, I was just like,
and the roar, like everyone was so excited. I mean, if you are in any way a Lewis fan and any way a Daniel Ricciardo fan, to be at the race in Hungary or quali in Hungary would have just been
so great,
so exciting. Because we're talking about as fans, we've never seen Lewis be on pole before.
Yep.
It was weird.
It was great. He was so happy. Obviously, we got to get in there, Lewis, which we haven't gotten this season, which was great.
Oh, so good. Bono knows too.
Yes, Bono
totally knows.
There was a great moment, a video of Lewis like coming back into like the engineering room, and he was like, talking to all the different people, and then him and Bono have this nice big embrace, and they've been through a lot together.
Yeah, they have.
So that was good for them to have a positive moment.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was fun to see him P1, and he even said, like, in the press conference afterwards, he was like, I haven't been in this seat, because they sit right in the middle. He's like, I haven't sat here in a long time, and it is weird. Like, it's been almost 2 seasons that he hasn't gotten pole position, and that's just a long time for someone of his
caliber.
Yeah, like I can't really imagine Max Verstappen going almost 2 years without a pole position. Like,
it's because it's all we've ever known.
And I just don't know that he would. I feel like I can't even imagine him like still racing if he doesn't get pole position, even if it's like a couple of races.
Yeah.
So anyway, great times.
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Enjoyed it very much. Yeah, I was like, my hands were shaking. I was so happy.
Yeah, you really were shaking. I saw your video. Yeah. But I was clapping. I was excited. I know I'm not like the biggest Lewis fan, like a lot of people, but I was very, very excited. I think anytime that things get mixed up and that is different than when things are unexpected, I think it's fun. Like, yes, Max is one of my favorite drivers, and yes, I am weekly bored that he's all the way over there.
Well, it's interesting. Matt and Tommy, P1, Matt and Tommy, they do Twitch reactions to their, like, they watch quality on Twitch, and they did like a qualifying reaction, and Tommy was saying, because Tommy's a Max fan, and he was like, if you watch my reaction to Lewis's pole, like, you would not ever assume that I'm a Max fan, because he was like super, super happy. But he said the same thing. He's like, I also don't love seeing Max just win every single week. Like, I also, as an F1 fan, like, I want to see new people winning. I mean, obviously Lewis isn't new, but
sure,
it is new in an extent.
Like, even the last few or couple races, like, seeing that the gap between Max and the next car behind him isn't 25 seconds. It
is nice. Okay, let's get to the race.
Okay,
so lap 1, turn 1, really very strange, very bizarre, because Joe just doesn't hit the brakes, or hits the brakes too late.
I still can't really figure out what happened.
And rams into the back of Daniel Ricciardo, which Crofty initially said it was Yuki. I don't know if you caught that in the broadcast.
I don't know why he
keeps mixing up.
Yeah, he really does.
Maybe, I don't know why. So Joe runs into the back of Daniel, who then runs into, I think, Pierre, who then runs into Esteban, and Esteban kind of goes flying. And it was bizarre, because I was like, when they were saying this, I was like, wait, Joe was in 5th. How is he then back in like 12th, 11th? Like, how is he behind Daniel, who was in 13th? Like, I couldn't quite figure out how that was happening. But I guess I read that, I guess Joe like kind of stalled at the start, so he dropped back, and then I think Daniel had a good start, so he was further forward. But he went bowling. Joe went bowling.
He certainly did. And he got a strike.
He got a strike. And he got a 5-second penalty. And, obviously they're very lenient on lap 1 incidents. Like, because again, it is tight. It's right. You can't, like, people were like, what was Daniel doing? I'm like, what was Daniel doing?
Yeah.
Like, what was he supposed to do? He got hit. Like, you can't then, it's like any sort of car accident. If you're an a fender bender, like, if you get hit from a car behind, you're going to hit the car in front of you. Like, you can avoid that.
I've literally been in one of those, so I can confirm.
Right. But it's interesting to me. Like, part of me wondered if 5 seconds was actually too lenient of a penalty, because I get it. It's lap 1, but also he essentially ruined. I mean, he didn't ruin Daniel's race, so I do wonder if he did have like any damage from it, but he ruined 2 other people's.
Yeah,
I feel like you should get 5 seconds for every person's race you end, which I guess you could technically say he didn't. He hit Daniel, who then hit Pierre, who then he didn't hit 3 people in one shot.
Yeah. I mean, I think something like that after lap 1, sure.
Okay, yeah.
But I think lap 1...
You think it's fair?
Yeah, it's hard. It's like the closest the track ever is. It's not like, I don't know. It's always such a hard,
tough
one.
It's, yeah. And I also get it's a tough thing to be like, well, this is worth 5, but this is worth 10.
Yeah.
But this is worth, it was a stupid mistake. And it unfortunately ruined 2 of my favorite drivers' times. I mean, really ruined one. Yeah. But Alpine, man, 2 races in a row, double DNF. I mean, that is rough.
Yeah, poor Otmar.
What do you think Otmar is saying right now?
I think he's crying.
Do you think he went in there and said bonjour? Or
yeah.
No?
Well, it's hard to say. I think it's also just difficult because, well, for one, I'm very grateful that it wasn't intentional Alpine on Alpine crime, because there's precedent for that actually happening, and that would have been annoying. In another respect, I am also glad that if it was going to be Pierre, that it was both of them.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
For Pierre, I mean, he would have just been steaming. So I'm sad for both of them, but also,
it just sucks. Like, I just can't imagine you like get all of this way to Hungary, like you do your practices, you do your qualifying, and then like literally within 10 seconds, you're done. Like,
well, not even the drivers, like everyone on the pit wall, everyone in the garage, like they've been, working on the car, making tweaks, doing all these things, and then it's just like, okay, the lights went out. And we're done for the day.
Right. We're done for the week. Like, our time here is done. All we did this weekend was for nothing. Yeah. We could have just not shown up and gotten the same amount of points.
Exactly. And the other thing that sucks too is I would have to imagine, actually, I'd be curious about this. Like, I would think that you can't start packing up until the race is fully over. So then they're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, like just wanting to go home and be done because everyone's annoyed that they... Anyway,
I know we are recording this like shortly after the race ended, but I would like to listen to their interviews, post-race interviews. Yeah. I want to hear what they have to say. Mm-hmm. Again, I mean, there's not much to say. It's not like it's just what it is.
Yeah. What did Joe do wrong? Like, did he just like not leave enough space?
He just braked way too late and just ran into the back of Daniel.
Great.
So yeah, he didn't.
So it was his fault.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he got the penalty. He got 2.
Well, I knew he got the penalty, but that doesn't always mean it was his fault.
He got 2 penalty points as well. So
how's Pierre doing a penalty point?
I think he's fine. Okay. I think he's gotten quite a few taken off.
That's good.
So I think he should be fine.
Well,
also because he hasn't been racing, so he's
that's so true.
You can't pick him up.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. What's your message to Otmar?
We love you. Keep your head up. Bonjour. Feliz cumpleaños. It's not going to end this way, right? We'll keep getting better and better.
Let's hope. I mean, we're such big Alpine fans. I'm going to look up Otmar's birthday because we got to make sure that August 13th, the day before my dad's birthday.
That's great.
So we'll have to do a little Feliz cumpleaños message for him on his birthday.
Great. You think we could, maybe he'll buy a cameo from us? We're not on Cameo, but maybe we should start one.
Personal DM. We can just send him a personal Instagram message, or I don't know if he has an Instagram, but we could do that for him. Or just, what we'll do? We can post it on our Instagram and tag Alpine and be like, please share this with Otmar.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Lewis had a bad start. Very, very, very poor start.
Very bummer start.
Like, didn't get passed by Max, but got passed by both of the McLarens as well.
Yeah.
That was weird. I don't really understand what happened there with him, why he was so poor, but that basically sealed his fate.
Yeah.
Getting passed by those 2 McLarens. It was basically game over for him.
Yeah.
Oscar did well. He got the jump on Lando and got up into P2 and was, in P2 for quite a while, but then he got screwed over because Lando went for the undercut. So Lando pitted early. And then Oscar pitted right after Lando and had a very fast pit. I was like 2-second pit stop, very quick, but even still, they came out at the same time and Lando passed him. I would have been pissed if I was Oscar. But also, it's like, I don't know. It's not really anyone's fault, but it's still annoying to like lose your position because of that. But you also have to be like, well, Lando did the good job of like making sure his outlap after pitting was very quick so he could get in the position to pass Oscar during the pit stop and yada, yada, yada.
Oscar would have done the same thing.
He would have done the same thing. And it was weird. Oscar was like in third, and then I think he ended up his race. I think he even got passed by Lewis at the end. He was like in fifth.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there. If he just was like on the wrong tire at the end or what. But yeah. But I think again, he's a rookie and he's doing a very good job.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Nothing to
Lando's first time having consecutive podiums.
P2, man.
A lot of records today.
Yeah. So good for Lando. Strong weekend. I mean, let's just briefly just touch on Ferrari for just a ever so brief moment, because really they were just becoming irrelevant. That's the thing. It's not, I mean, it was bad at points this weekend, the bad pit stop for Charles, then Charles got a penalty. But more than that, it's just they're irrelevant.
Like they need an overhaul.
There's nothing to talk about with them. They're not even really in the fight for anything. They're not really battling for anything. They're just sort of there.
Well, they're having their own internal battle, which is like, I would love to understand what a strategy meeting with Ferrari looks like. Like, what are they doing?
Well, also I think Martin Brundle said this on the broadcast. He's like, and it's the things that we've said all the time. It's if your car being bad is tough.
Yeah.
But you then have to make sure that everything else you're doing is like maximum potential, right?
Like buttoned up.
You do everything else correct, because you can't afford to be loosey-goosey. So then why go out and do a 9-second pit stop for Charles Leclerc? Like, I get that things happen, but it's like you got to get the basics right. It's a Total Wolf model. Like,
totally.
You do the basics right and everything else will follow, and control the things that you can personally control. And they just don't do a good job of that.
No, the standards are off.
Standards are really off.
They're not standarding.
No. I mean, George essentially catches Charles at the end, and it didn't even matter because Charles had a 5-second penalty, so he was going to pass him in the standings anyway.
Oh yeah, he was speeding in the pit lane. Is that right?
Yeah, whatever. So it's just a tough go around for him, and I think I am very curious to see when the season ends, like where I feel like when the season ends, Red Bull obviously will be P1, and I think Merc will be safely P2. Yeah. I don't think right now Aston Martin is P2 in the constructors, but they're falling so far that I think Merc will definitely pass them. Or maybe Merc is first, actually. I should check that standings. I know Fernando is ahead of Lewis, but only by like 6 points. That's definitely going to dissipate. But I'll be really curious to see who finishes P3.
Yeah.
Because that's a fight that seems like it's up for grabs. And they said today Alpine is down to P6 in the constructors.
Woof.
Yeah. That's what 2 DNFs
in a row
will do for you.
2 double DNFs.
2 double DNFs, yeah.
Big yikes.
So good day for the
Well,
French.
there's always next week.
There's always next week. And then after that, there's a nice month-long break. So
which is just going to be so overwhelming.
You can take all your breaks and relax. And the good thing is they will not have silly season drama to deal with this time around.
Who, Alpine?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just like, in general, that's crazy.
Alpine. They had to deal with a lot of drama last year, a lot of stress. And this year they can just
can't wait to see how it's going to shake out this
focus
year.
On themselves. Briefly, Aston Martin,
where are they?
They're back. They're back. They're where they should be. Like they're like now where I think they rightfully deserve to be, given where they were last year. Like they were never going to be a P2 team. I don't think, like over the course of a season. Like I don't know that you can make that kind of jump that quickly, but they're okay. They're fine. They definitely lost some pace. I think other teams have obviously gained a lot, McLaren being most obvious, but they're not really around. They're kind of in the Ferrari land of just like, we're here, but we're not really gonna make a name Fernando, for ourselves. Though. Yeah, I think there'll probably be a couple races where he finds himself doing fairly well, but I don't think it's going to be like it was early on in the season. Okay, let's just briefly touch on Daniel, like just more comprehensively. So he obviously got unlucky being hit by Joe and then hitting Pierre. I'm actually shocked he didn't have damage.
Me too.
Like, I'm very surprised. Or
it wasn't significant
maybe
enough.
he did. You're right, but it wasn't bad enough that he had to retire. When they said it was Yuki, I was like, oh, okay. And then they cut to then they put up the leaderboard, and then I saw Rick 18. I was just like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Daniel. But he did manage to like kind of recover himself. I felt, and did a pretty good job. He pitted for, I think, hard tires, and then he was on them not for very long, like 11 laps or something. And I think I saw like a tweet that said he was like caught behind someone, maybe it was Logan, and he just was like, I need to get into clean air, so can I pit again? And that way I think I can go faster and I can like make some ground. So he pits for mediums. He went 40 laps on his medium tires, the longest stint on mediums. The pit window for mediums, this was also like, I think at the beginning of the race, was 18 to 25 laps. Now, obviously, when you get further into the race, you lose, like, your fuel load goes down. And so then the car is not as heavy. So you're not creating as much tire drag as you would early on in the race. So you could probably push tires a little bit longer, but 40 laps
that's a long time. And he wasn't passed by anybody, and held his position well. He beat Yuki. I think that was a little bit, Yuki had a bad pit stop. I would have loved to have heard that radio afterwards. Maybe he's not saying anything. I feel like they would share that if he did say something interesting, but maybe he's becoming more mature. Maybe.
But still, he beat Yuki.
Yeah.
Something that Nick only did a couple of times, and that was often due to a Yuki DNF or a Yuki situation. So I think it was a positive weekend.
I think so too.
Do you feel good about it?
I feel great about it. Plus 13.
Taylor Swift. What should we expect from Daniel going forward? Like, what do we think? Like, what should we anticipate from him and his performance?
I think joy, happiness, and I'm being dead serious. He seems really happy. I'm glad he's like having fun with it again. And I think he's going to have good weekends and average weekends. But I think for the most part, I see him staying in this like 9 to 14 range.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a couple races where he does manage to get like P10.
Sure.
That would not shock me.
That's why I said 9 to 14.
I think he will be able to. There's always those 1 or 2 races where you have like a 5 or 6 cars DNF,
right,
or like you have a lot of chaos or spin outs or this, that, the other, that, you know, like a random car can pick up a couple points.
Yeah. He also got in the car for the first time on Friday.
Exactly.
So it's also like he's obviously drove the Red Bull last week, 2 weeks ago, but whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, I think he just needs to get, like, I think he did damn well for it being his first race in a year and a half.
I do too. I'll be curious to see like what the like race lap times looked like how was were he and Yuki on like a similar pace?
Yeah.
Was he faster? Yada yada. I will be curious to see how that shakes out. But I think ultimately, you know, Nick, obviously the situation was difficult with him and the way that it was handled was bad. But I think AlphaTauri has to feel like this was the right move.
Yeah.
It's more stable now. And I just can't really imagine, like, if Nick had been caught up in that lap one, I don't see him getting himself back into P13.
At least from what we saw from him this season, that was not going to happen. Also, I do have to say, like, I recognize from the results perspective that Checo won driver of the day, but I'm just really shocked that Daniel didn't win driver of the day. I'm
shocked. Well, my dad was talking about this when we were watching. I'm shocked it wasn't George. Because George went, and we can get to George, 18th to 6th.
Yeah.
Actually, and he may have ended up, no, I think Oscar was 5th. Yeah, 18th to 6th, and did a really damn good job.
Yeah. Making
up 12 spots, like put in a good shift. Whereas Checo, yes, he was 9th to 3rd, but he was making up for like a poor qualifying. Right. I guess George was too, but George's was more not his fault.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not that shocked Daniel didn't win, because I
just thought all the girlies were gonna come out and just do the thing.
I felt like if Daniel had like really done, he was the other thing, he was barely on TV.
I know
he like passed a couple. I think he like passed K-Mag at one point. He passed someone else, and I'm like, why aren't they showing this on TV? Just to show a car passing a car, but also like Daniel.
Right.
Like I was kind of shocked they barely even really talked about him. I don't know. It just seemed strange given all the talk about him leading up, and then it was like, I mean, he wasn't really involved in that much. He was just kind of there.
No, I know. I totally get it. I feel like for the most part, driver of the day, like I recognize we're talking about how well they did in the race, but I also think it's quite a popularity contest. And so for that respect, I mean, I know Checo has a huge fan base. I'm not saying that he's not as popular as Daniel by any means. I just thought that it would be, and I don't even know how much they give a damn about driver of the day.
Right.
But sometimes I just think it's interesting.
I thought it was, I mean, when they showed the initial, like who was up for it, when it was Checo, I think Lando and Oscar, I was just shocked that George wasn't even in that conversation because again, I felt like he did a very good job. I was going to say something else about Daniel. Oh, I also feel like with Daniel too, I know he said it in the past, like he feels like he only races his best when he's racing for like podiums and wins, but I feel like there has to be something to be said for going into a race weekend being like, I just need to do the best I can do. Like there's not this pressure of like, I got to get this to this position, or like my teammate's going to be here, so then I got to be here. It's just kind of like, just go and do the best you can do. Like, it kind of has to relieve a lot of anxiety that maybe one would feel if there was this. I mean, I think Checo probably has that, like this pressure of like, this is such a good car and it has to be here, and it's like that's a lot of stress.
Yeah, I also think that was his mindset before hiatus, which we can just call BH now.
What do you mean?
Like I feel like Danny,
that was like how he felt before.
Yeah, and now I think he has a whole new, like it was sort of like how Kevin talked when he came back, where he just like had a different perspective. He's like, I've lost it once, I'm excited to have it back, and if I lose it again, like I know I'll be okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just briefly on George, did a great job. I felt like had a strong race. Good job.
Yes.
We can move on from that.
Yeah, there was one point I feel like towards the end he was like, again, I don't know if they're making these like dummy calls, if that's like I know it's a real thing, but it just seemed like a weird one. He was like, should I get new tires? And his engineer was basically just like, we'll definitely lose position if you want new tires.
It's so funny.
So no.
Briefly on K-Mag, how do we feel? I mean, he got out in Q1. Nico made it to Q3. Their race performance, like we said before, Haas, not the best car in terms of race pace, was closer. But I just don't know about K-Mag anymore.
I know.
I am a little bit, he's fine. Again, he's not causing, Haas is always concerned about the financial, damage that could be caused to their car. But I don't know if he's up there anymore. And actually, Gunter said something to the effect of like, we'll have to wait and see about Kate. He had earlier, like on in the season, had talked about, kind of alluding to the fact that he was pretty comfortable with both drivers.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of saying maybe not so sure. And I think part of that probably is wait and see if what happens to certain drivers. Is somebody in F2 or in IndyCar? There's a lot of talk. I think we mentioned this, I don't know, last episode about Alex Palou. Did we talk about him?
Yeah. Or at least we did, whether it was on here or not. You and I have talked about it.
Yeah. So it's like, but Haas, again, they're so nervous about the new rookie driver situation.
Yeah. Is there still any Colton Herta talk, or is that pretty much?
Well, Colton's whole thing is with Andretti.
Oh, right.
So they, I think he's hedging his bets that Andretti is going to get on the grid, which now, did you see that two teams have been approved to like, so the whole thing with getting another team approved is the FIA can approve teams and say, yes, we say yes to these teams, but then F1 has to approve, and the FIA wants new teams, but F1 does not want teams. Well, the teams, the F1 teams don't want new teams, and
so they can essentially,
well, they can. What I've heard is like, so the FIA can say yes, and F1 can't technically overrule that, but there's this thing called the Concord Agreements, which is what all F1 teams are a part of.
Which sounds way too formal for
I know.
this group,
and they can essentially block those teams from being a part of the agreement, which would then prevent them from getting any money. So they could technically race, they just wouldn't get any
the richest
money.
One of the richest sports in the world, you'd want to just not give them money.
And so, and I understand it from a perspective like, you know, a team like Haas, who is barely surviving, able to make money, is then just, why would they want to say, yeah, come on in and take a chunk of what we get every year and we'll give it to you. I can understand that. Like, you want to make sure every team in F1 right now is financially stable,
like at least
and is making
they have
good
to
money.
Stay where they're at.
Yeah. And so I get that from that perspective. I think it is a little bit, this is maybe a hot take, but I think, you know, and this is specifically talking about Andretti, like F1 is perfectly fine and willing to take American dollars, race in America 3 different races, F1 fans, you know, they are talking about America's like such a lucrative place. Obviously, F1 fans don't necessarily love that. But then if an American team, then they're like, whoa, no, you know, it's, you kind of gotta recognize, you would have to think long term. And I don't believe Haas is an American. I mean, I don't count them as an American team. Like, their base is in England. Like, they have an American owner.
Yeah.
You know, they're not an American team, at least in my perspective. Andretti would be like a legitimate American team.
Right.
If you have that, you got to imagine that that's only going to increase your fan base, which therefore would increase revenue. And so I'm not a financial expert.
Yeah. And I don't know how it works, like how it gets split up, but like the money from Vegas alone seems like it would be fine to have another team.
Right. Now, who does that money go to?
Oh, right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how it's split.
Right.
But I imagine the teams get
and I get it's more, I know it's more complicated than like a franchise expansion in the NFL or the NBA, where you're picking a specific city and you are then the city is like bringing in money for their own team. They don't have that in F1. Like, you don't get like your own, like, we get money from this place.
Right.
It's like a piece of a pie. Again, not an expert, but
this is where it gets hard, because I recognize it's a business and I know that everybody loves money, but it's like, do you want the sport to be more competitive and more exciting, or do you want your pockets to keep getting filled with money?
And I guess also their thing is it might make it, because they've had more teams in the past. They've had 12 teams in the past. They've done it before, and those teams just burn out and go away, and it's not actually beneficial to the sport. So there is some
because they're not
precedent.
Supported?
There's some, they don't have the financial ability to stay in the sport. So there's precedent of like, it hasn't always worked, but I think when you have a team like Andretti, who has the backing, who has the factory, who has all these things in place, an established brand, yada yada yada, maybe you can make an exception. I think the other team that got like approved for the next step is actually Nikita Mazepin's dad, which of course F1
should have never been approved.
F1 is like, we don't necessarily want to, you know, Russian money. Like, you know, we don't really want to get involved. We know that the Mazepins have like connections to Putin. So anyway, I don't know. Again, it's all in the very much the early stages of all this, but we will watch the space. We will keep our eyes peeled on what transpires.
Sorry, I'm like really trying to soak in that information. That's so crazy.
I can't remember what the team is called.
Doesn't matter. It's dumb.
But I believe it is his team. So we'll see what happens there.
Cool.
Lastly on the race, obviously Red Bull wins, breaks the record, 12 wins in a row, which
that's awesome.
An incredible feat. They've won, I don't know the exact stats, but it's been like 20 something out of the last 20 something races they have won. Like the last time that a driver hasn't won was or a different driver won was George Russell in Brazil. Like the difference in races, and it is just total. It's funny when people are like Lewis, or people didn't complain when Lewis won this much, and I know that Lewis's dominance was over multiple years, but also Lewis, like, they didn't break this, you know. They didn't have this record-breaking amount of wins in a row in a season. Like, and again, I know it's a longer
consecutive
period.
wins or just wins? Okay.
Yes. So this is unprecedented. This run that Max and Red Bull and Checo, obviously a couple of those wins this past season have been from Checo.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. It's so funny. People like in our comments will be like, we need someone other than Max to win this season. I'm like, you guys, Checo has won 2 races this season, but people just seem to forget that. So anyway, it's unprecedented and it's incredible, but also it's like, okay, let's get someone else up there. The day that someone else wins, I'm going to be a happy camper.
We all are. We're just going to be excited.
Literally don't care who.
It's also just bonkers that like Max hasn't DNF'd.
I don't think any of the Red Bulls have. I don't think Checo has either.
Nuts.
From a race. Yeah. So clearly reliable as hell.
Yeah.
Which is impressive. Can't say the same thing for the Alpines or the Haas's.
Certainly not.
Tough out there. Yeah. Okay, let's get to our pyramid.
Okay.
Bottom of the pyramid in the first spot is obviously Alpine because it's been terrible.
I mean, what a bummer.
Esteban had to go to the doctor.
I did hear that.
I actually heard, so they said on the broadcast that his like chair was like snapped in half and then he had to go to like the medical tent. And then I actually saw afterwards that he didn't have to go to the medical tent. He just got some like work done to his back in like the physio room.
Got it.
Whatever. So I think he's fine, but obviously that would hurt. I mean, to go up and down like that.
It was like
that
what
speed.
Fernando did at Coda last year.
Yes, exactly. Except he kept driving.
You know.
So I'm going to be rooting for Alpine in Spa next week.
Yeah.
I want them to do well. Redemption for Alpine.
Yeah, it's also too like that track obviously means a lot to Pierre because of Antoine. Like it's very.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to think about like, remember Australia? They both crashed into each other.
Yes.
Like it's just been a tough go of it.
Yeah.
So they're due for some good luck.
They are.
I think.
Hopefully the Barbie movie will send it their way.
Right. Next place on the bottom is just Checo's FP1 crash. It ended up being totally fine, not a big deal, but just this storyline aspect for Checo and also the fact that now it's like it's a narrative that people are running with. That's not always that fun. And I bet he wishes he could have avoided that.
But at least the weekend ended how it did with him on the podium rather than him like DNFing or just like not being anywhere.
At least it didn't happen during the race.
Well, sure.
Right.
But like if it's going to happen in practice, at least you did fine the rest of the weekend.
Right. Exactly.
And not during the race.
He rebounded very well. And then the final bottom spot of the pyramid is unfortunately Nico Hulkenberg. I almost said Nico Rosberg. Nico Hulkenberg's bleached hair, which is not a good look on him.
I feel so bad because it just really isn't. And I'm also really sad that Alex Albon's bleached hair is gone. But I also just felt for Hulk, it's not working, which is too bad, at least for me and for Zoe. I can't speak to the entire population. I hope he loves it and I hope his wife loves it. It also came at a terrible time because of the release of the Barbie movie. He's been called Hulkenberg, which I think is I wouldn't be surprised if his hair is different by next weekend.
Do we think it was because he went too white with the hair? Like what was it? I'm trying to think of like other people that have bleached their hair and like what works with them that doesn't work on him.
I also don't know if he's just like it's his complexion.
Maybe.
Like
but he's blonde. That's the thing.
Yeah, but it's the platinum of it all, because it's interesting. I'm thinking about Taylor Swift's platinum hair and she's quite fair skinned and that worked, but she then can also play it up with like the makeup and it's like the back of his hair, it's like matching his neck.
Yeah.
There's no like separation.
It looked too white, like old man white.
Yeah.
In my mind. I don't know.
Maybe if it was a little icier or something.
Yes,
like it's a little too yellow. Icier.
And I think you're right. Like if you have a tan or something and you have bleached hair, it just didn't quite work for me. And I would like him to go back to his normal hair.
And I feel really bad because it's all really anyone talked about. Like I feel like when Alex Albon did it, he kind of kept changing his hair, so it was just this thing that he was doing again, and no one really gave it a lot of attention. But between the Barbie release, like happening this weekend, like I think they kind of focused on it a lot, and I hope it didn't, but it seems like it maybe made him a little self-conscious.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna go bleach blonde, you're asking for people to comment,
and I mean he owned it, but it was like during the press interviews that I was sometimes just like, I think he feels embarrassed.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I hope he didn't. And I hope he goes back to his normal color again soon.
All right. Middle of the pyramid. First spot is Joe. Great qualifying.
Yeah.
P5. Terrible start.
Correct.
Ruined his own race. Ruined the races of 3 others. And but you live and you learn.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's really I can't remember another time where he's caused something like that to happen. So it's not like he's a compulsive crasher. And I feel like he's the kind of guy who would feel very bad. And I feel like he wouldn't apologize
for sure. And I feel like he's also a guy you like don't stay mad at.
No. Yeah, exactly. Like everyone's like, it's all good. We're fine. I mean, I could see the Alpine guys being a little bit more peeved than obviously Daniel.
Yeah.
But still, I think people, they have short memories. They'll forget. They'll move on.
Yeah. Goldfish.
Next mid-pyramid spot goes to George Russell. Kind of the opposite reason. Bad qualifying, but very strong race. And did a great job. I feel like he probably felt like he could have. I think they said prior to the race, they felt like Mercedes thought they could be in the top 4, both cars. Obviously, none. I don't think, or I guess George or Lewis finished P4, but I feel like he probably wishes he could have done better. But I feel like for where he started,
he did a great job.
Is not bad. And then top of the pyramid, we try not to always give them the top spot, but they deserve it this week. Red Bull, record breaking. And
it's the whole team. I just want to be clear. Sometimes we say Red Bull, and even myself, you just go Max, Checo, Christian Horner, and it's more than that. Yeah, Adrian Newey, Hannah Schmitz,
Callum. Who else do we know that works at Red Bull? The wonderful Jody, who is their press person who invites all the celebrities.
Yes, doing the Lord's work. Terry Crews was there today. Did you see him doing his like pectoral?
Yes.
Flexing? That was a lot.
Everyone working at Red Bull in the factories, in the offices.
This is for you.
And
Max is simply the vessel.
He is, yes, exactly. Exactly. It's
maybe if we started thinking that way, we'd be less frustrated.
It's like a movie, right? Like Max is the star of the film. Yeah. All the attention.
Right.
And obviously you have to have a great performance to have your film do well. Yeah. But there's a director, there's a cinematographer, there's
1,000 people involved, and we couldn't be here without them. Exactly. So shout out to you guys. This one's P1 or top of the podium is for you. I mean pyramid.
We keep saying that. But...
Blah, 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 blah.
Congratulations. All right. This is a very long episode, so let's hit our fan and foe.
Okay. My fan is I'm assuming it's some of the same kids that did the kid report, whatever. Mm-hmm. But during the press conference, when there was a kid who asked if they were jealous of Max's car and if they ever thought about taking him out. First of all, brilliant question. Made me laugh a lot. And also, the thing I love about kids is everybody's wanted to ask that question, but it's not quote unquote good journalism to ask questions like that.
Kids can ask, kids can get away with anything.
Yeah. And in this particular situation, I'm really glad she did. I'm not sure. I didn't see what kid asked it, but it was hilarious. And I appreciated they were like, yeah, we're all jealous of Max's car.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was fun.
It was funny. My fan is obviously Lewis Hamilton pole.
Yeah.
Waited a long time to see that. It didn't end up so well, at the end, but was a great Saturday for me.
And you always remember it because obviously that, but also it's Danny's first race back.
Exactly.
Historical for us.
And yeah, I was just happy for him.
So I just want to be so clear. This is my personal opinion only. Zach Brown and I aren't friends, right? Mostly because he doesn't know who I am. And then also just because I'm worried he's not like the nicest person from what I've seen. Michael Strahan was interviewed on the Grid Walk today and said verbatim, I'm a Zach Brown fan. And I love Michael Strahan. I think he's, the voice, he's just like America's football guy, right?
Yeah.
At least for me, because he's always on. What else does he host? Oh, he was on
America.
That. And to hear him say that,
but
it hurt.
Maybe he is Zach's friend.
And that's my point.
So is Lando Norris. So is a lot of other people. So, well, I'm just saying, like, maybe you gotta.
I know. And that's why I'm saying I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I don't know, which is basically everything about Zach Brown except for. So it was just kind of hard. It like feels like a weird thing to reconcile with.
Sure. Well,
but we're moving through it.
I'm glad you're working through it.
It's like when people I recognize and feel like connected to from America are on the grid,
like people that
talking
you don't
about
like.
my enemies, alleged enemies. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Right. You wish you would have said Toto Wolff. I'm Toto Wolff's best friend.
Sure. And also, to be fair, if it's gonna be anyone, better Michael Strahan than like someone like that matters to me more, right? Like Michael Strahan's, love him. He did great in Charlie's Angels, which really everyone should go see if you haven't.
The new one. The
most recent, the one that Elizabeth Banks directed. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's fantastic. And she needs to direct another one, but because it did so bad at the box office, she probably won't. And feel free to send this to her so that she knows we love her, because that movie was incredible and she nailed it. But anyway, he did great work in that. And but you know, if it was like Niall saying that, I'd have a really hard time with it. Or
sure,
Harry, who's never going to be on the grid.
Sure.
But anyway,
my foe is just the Alpine situation, Pierre Gasly situation. I just feel really bad for him, and I feel bad for, obviously I feel bad for Esteban too. I don't want to just single out Pierre. It's just, mentally that has to suck.
Yeah.
That has to just be rough. Mm-hmm. So onwards and upwards, Alpine. Let's get to some of our listener questions, comments, concerns. Did you see, a lot of people have been asking, did you see that Lando knocked over Max's trophy when he did the champagne?
I didn't.
Yeah, so he went to like pop the champagne on the P1 step.
I saw that part.
He
it was
knocked
nice.
over Max's trophy and like broke the top off of the trophy.
Well, it clearly didn't start any like bad luck.
Right. Maybe he did. We'll see. And I mean, I don't think Max really cares probably that much because he's won this before. And, you know, he can super glue it.
They're going to get him a new one and then they'll send it to his home. He'll be fine.
He'll be absolutely fine.
And Lando didn't do it on purpose, although it would have been funnier if he did.
A lot of people said, or a couple of people said, that Red Bull did the 1.9 pit stop with Checo. Did you see that?
I did. That was great.
That was very impressive.
Way to go,
a lot
Callum
of fast
team.
Pit stops today. A lot of like right on the 2-second mark, which was
sans Ferrari, but
sans AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
But other than that, strong. Okay, wait, I just have a random. So Logan Sargent, you see how he spun at the very end there? He kind of had like a little spin. Yuki and some other people passed him, and then he like retired the car at the end, but I don't know why he did.
I don't know why they retired the car either.
I just randomly thought.
I don't know if he like got a puncture or something and just didn't have enough time to make it count for anything to pit or whatever.
Yeah, that was weird. What else do we see? Some people feel like Oscar got shafted.
Sure. So does Oscar.
Yeah. I would feel more so that way if he had finished in P3, but he ended up 5th. So
yeah,
he was slower than Checo and slower than Lewis.
Yeah.
And I don't know what strategy he was on. I don't know if that was due to strategy calls or whatnot. But
initially, yeah, I'm sure he was really irritated.
From Lando, that was probably tough. I mean, people are saying Charles disaster.
I just feel like don't have space to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, it's
because the change has to come from within the team organization, and I just don't know when that's going to happen. And I'm just really curious about Charles' future with Ferrari.
Yep. Did you hear Lando say like they're not even racing for anything?
Yeah, I did.
That was a little tough. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of like
truth hurts.
Lando, you were in that position like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think when they talk, like we'd really just have to take it on a race by race thing. You know what I mean? And I just feel like people get so, and not you, I'm just saying in general, it's like it's true. They had nothing to race for today. That's a shitty thing to say. And at the same time too, he was also just communicating with his engineer.
Right. But they did have something to race for because it does matter if you finish P13 over P14. It does affect your standings if you don't have like it does ultimately, even though you don't get points.
What was he saying that for?
Because they were getting those people he was lapping cars, you get a blue flag
right.
out of the way, and I guess they weren't getting out of the way fast enough to his liking, and so,
which is annoying.
Yeah, he was obviously he's fine saying what he said. It was just comical given the fact that he
he used to be the guy being lapped
in that position.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, you know, I don't think he would have loved. I mean, I feel like he probably felt like he was fighting for something a couple weeks ago. So.
Yeah, fair.
Anyway, it's all
it's a little petty.
I feel like they didn't show Danny Rick once during the GP. I mean, part of it was that there wasn't really much going on with him, but also it was kind of.
But he went from 18 to 13.
Yeah. I mean, some of that had to do with like just people pits.
I know, but
and whatnot. But he did do a couple overtakes that they didn't even show.
I mean, how many times have we seen the battle for 17th
right.
place? Like,
right.
come on.
Right. Exactly. A lot of just Charles, Carlos, missing Latifi for a little bit of spice.
I don't know. I thought Joe brought the spice today.
He did, though. You can always count on Nicholas to like come in with the lap 55
T-bone
or like spin out, causing a safety car.
Did you see?
I was just gonna say.
Yeah. So Nicholas Latifi announced on Instagram this week that he's going to get his MBA
from school business or
London School of Business.
Good for Nicholas.
So great job, Nikki. We're excited for you. Wish you best of luck in your next venture. That's all.
A lot of people are saying, how did Joe only get a 5-second penalty? He took out 2 cars.
I think it's the first lap thing.
It's the first lap thing. I mean, it wasn't so. He ran into the back of a car. It's not great, but it wasn't like
he caused a domino effect.
Yes.
He didn't smash into 2 vehicles.
Rube Goldberg style.
Exactly. Rube Goldberg. We should make a Rube Goldberg machine.
I don't like. I guess PTSD from like
7th grade.
Well, even I think in high school we had to do one, and it was
no, they're actually terrible. I don't want to do one.
Extensive and hard. Okay, that's basically. I think we've talked about everything else important. Okay. So that was that on that for Hungary. Next week we got Spa, which will be hopefully a great race. I don't know. I'm always very tentative to say that because it's going to end up Max P1,
maybe
somebody else P2, P3. I guess that's what's the most interesting is those spots.
I do love this track though.
Fun track,
nerve-wracking track. I hope it's dry.
And we got to really appreciate it because it's the last one for a good chunk of weeks. So
yeah,
we got to really savor this race weekend before we go into summer break. Because it will be weird to not have it. But I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to see what happens if there is anything that happens in, silly season drama.
Yeah.
I don't know if much will happen, but
I'm kind of hoping. I think something will. I think something that none of us are expecting will happen. I don't know what that is.
Surprise retirement, perhaps?
I don't think it's going to be retirement. I could see a surprise team switch, although I don't know who to wear. I'm sure it's all going to turn out to be fine. I'm very surprised we haven't heard about Lewis.
Toto did say he's like the contract is basically done, or he says
recently
something to that effect. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure it is. Like again, there's so much that goes into it. But I just was surprised that it's taken as long as it has.
We will wait with bated breath. What?
I don't know. It's just a funny sentence.
Anything else we need to touch on before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for always being there for us, sending us nice messages.
Yeah. Oh, I did think of something.
Okay.
Really quick. And this is so annoying, and I hate when other people do this, but we're gonna do it now. But we have some exciting stuff. Hopefully coming up this week. A little way for our community to stay in touch with one another. So watch this space. We're excited. There may or may not be a giveaway involved. It may or may not be Enchante related. So
we're not working with Enchante.
God, no. That I would know. I wouldn't even be able to talk about that because I'd give it away. Like I'd be so Tom Holland in that situation and just like give away the spoilers. But maybe one day. So anyway, we love you. Thank you for listening. Listen, subscribe, like, comment, review, share with all of your friends, share in your stories.
All the things.
Yeah.
Enchante.